shining the light. So, all right. So, guys, we had a few teams that really stepped up their game over the past couple of weeks. So, my question is, Nolan, whose revenge tour was the best?
So mine dates back, a couple games. So I'm looking at the Thursday game, the Rams Pats, and it was a rematch of the Super Bowl. And Bill Belichick, he made Jared Goff look awful in a couple Februarys ago. Sean McVay didn't know what was going on. Look what happened. The Rams stuck with the run, and Cam Akers, he solidified himself as the top back on that team. He was absolutely terrific, 186 yards on the ground as a team. And again, that was without Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods doing their thing. That offense, when they're clicking, is really solid. We know what the defense can do. They made New England look horrible. And I know, Luka, that was probably tough to watch in moments. That was the best revenge tour game for me. I know there was some other ones, Dalton going back to Cincinnati, and, Alex Smith ends up getting banged up against the Niners. But for me, a game like that, to dominate them as bad as they did, and for the Rams to say, look out, we're a serious threat. This defense is legit. And when our offense clicks with our offensive-minded coach, somebody should take us serious now.
Pretty tough to watch, I'm going to be honest with you, that game. But mine is not really a revenge tour per se. I'm looking at that Bears-Texans game and Trubisky versus Deshaun Watson. We can all agree that I don't know what the heck the Bears are doing. We can all agree they've left. I don't think anyone saw maybe this out of Mahomes. But Deshaun Watson was clearly the better quarterback coming out. And they went with Trubisky. Hasn't panned out as a number 2 overall pick. Maybe in the 4th round. Okay, you could say, all right, maybe. Number 2 overall in that draft? I don't think so. But, man, he played pretty well against the Houston Texans. And he kind of said, hey, listen, NFL, I know you guys think I'm probably the worst bust when it comes to number 2 overalls. And mind you, he probably will go down as probably the biggest bust at number 2. But he played really well, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, 126.7 rating, and they got the W. David Montgomery, he exploded early in the game. The Texans, of course, they're not a good team. Bears, they're not that great of a team. So really, I don't care who won this game, but Trubisky did play good. He played better than Watson, but again, Trubisky has the defense behind him. They got to Watson 7 times. Watson's continues on the floor, having to run for his life. The tight end dropped a wide-open pass in the end zone. Again, if the sun was in his eye, whatever, still dropped it. So Watson, I feel bad for him over there. Ships out. One of the best receivers we've seen in the last 5 years for nothing. It's hard to be Deshaun Watson right now, but I got to give it to Trubisky. He showed out, and he played really well.
You said he might be this, the worst number 2 overall pick of all time. I think there's a guy in San Diego who got drafted behind Peyton Manning who might be calling and saying I'm the worst. But I'll give you.
Yeah, true.
Trubisky, right, yeah. He will not live up to that number 2 pick for sure.
Ryan Leaf is horrible, buddy. Horrible.
They can have a conversation after. They'll have a conversation after.
So for my revenge tour, I kind of took a different approach to this. I wanted to look at a couple of the matches, and I wanted to kind of give an analogy for the matchups that happened. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Andy Dalton versus the Bengals. So the analogy for this is it's kind of like you and your ex, you guys break up because of some irreconcilable differences, and you can't perform in the clutch. But word gets around that you're single, and no one really wants you as your main piece. So someone says instead, you know what, you can play the side piece role. Till one day, the most popular girl in the country, she makes it official with you, and she says, you know what, you're the one. And then a common friend invites you to a wedding, and at this wedding, you see your ex, and you just so happen to have a moment with her, but you know what, your ex isn't there with her man. Your ex is there with her ugly cousin, and you're feeling like a boss. So on top of that, you get the win completely because now you and your beautiful girl who you're with, you guys come around, you catch the bouquet, you get the garter belt, and everything's blessed on your side, and you have a great night out there. That's how it felt for Andy Dalton against the Bengals, if you get what I'm saying.
That beautiful girl is 4-8-1, eh?
Oh, trust me, it's a beautiful girl. You know what I mean? She's not the best, but she is beautiful at times. You know what I mean?
I got you.
The second one I got, Jamal Adams versus the Jets. It's a fairly simple analogy here. You get out of a bad relationship where your ex did nothing for you, but she relied on you more than you relied on her. Your new girl, she's a winner. She has her own stuff. She's independent, and damn, she can cook, if you know what I mean. So that's just how I phrase that one. Last but not least, this is a very underlooked one, was Alex Smith versus the 49ers this past weekend. Now, this analogy goes deep. Pretty much this is you and your first ex. You know, you guys have been separated for a long time. Some good memories still remain between the two of you. No real sour feelings. It was mutual between the two of you to move on from each other. Things are amazing for her. She's gotten engaged. She's looking to have a wedding, but you know, the wedding got put on hold for a little bit. You, on the other hand, you've had some dark days and suffering, and you haven't been able to find your true love. But after some rehabilitation and some self-love, you find your comeback, you find your new thing, and she's about to take you out. And just by a chance meeting, you run into your first ex. You know, it's a good time. You say hello, how you doing, how are things going? She tells you circumstances have pushed her wedding back. She hasn't been able to get married and bad things have happened. You say bad things have happened to me too. But then your ex, your new young, stout girlfriend comes in and says, you know what? This is a culture change. I don't want you talking to your ex no more. We're going to run her out of the building. And that's exactly what the Washington Redskins did to the 49ers this past weekend. So if you guys see all my analogies, these are some real revenge stories for the main guys. Alex Smith, Jamal Adams, Andy Dalton. You guys are all winners this weekend. Look at your old teams and leave them in the past. Move on with your new girlfriends and keep it going. Let's go.
If I might add, whoever's watching this video, you need to go back and look at Chantel's face while you were doing all of these analogies. I couldn't hold my laugh. I just kept going. How long did it take for you to come up with that?
Not too long. I wanted to pick. I look back at these guys' careers with their ex teams and just try to, you know what, phrase it out a little bit of a way that it looks like these were their ex girlfriends and their new girlfriends are better than their ex girlfriends. That's about it.
That was awesome.
That was friggin' awesome. I loved it. I love a good story anytime.